Choosing what food to give your dog can be difficult. There are just so many options. Brands that claim to be exactly what your dog would be eating in the wild, and brands that claim to be exactly what you would eat in a gourmet restaurant, but in a can. Brands that claim to be extra healthy, brands that claim to be extra tasty, brands that promise glossier coats, shinier teeth, brighter eyes, and wetter noses. So, how to differentiate good dog food from bad dog food in just a few seconds? To answer this question, stop looking at the brand, or the advertisements, or the picture on the packet. Instead, you need to turn it around and look at the other side. The best way to gauge which type of dog food is right for your pooch is to look at the label. You can even do this with your dog's food right now and see if it is actually good for your pooch, or if it needs to be thrown away as soon as possible. Where to look? The first thing you need to do when looking for food for your dog is decide where you're going to shop. The grocery store might seem like the most obvious option. After all, that's likely where your mom and dad used to buy food for the dog you had as a kid. But grocery and outlet stores don't always stock the best brands. If you want to make sure that your pooch is getting the perfect diet, then you should ideally be shopping in special pet stores or co-ops. What to look for? Secondly, what do you look for on the packet? Obviously dog food, you may think, but once you've got the right species, you need to make sure that you get the right age. If you've just adopted a new puppy, then they'll need to have specialized puppy food. Puppy food is higher in protein, fat, and phosphorus to promote healthy growth. They should ideally be on this food until they're about 80% of their adult size, which should take about a year. The exception is for large breeds. For breeds like Great Danes and Wolfhounds, the problem isn't promoting their growth as much as it is ensuring that they don't grow too quickly, which can cause them to develop problems in their joints and skeleton. Puppy food for large breeds is deliberately formulated to have less calcium, fat, and phosphorus to prevent these problems. For an elderly dog, meanwhile, your vet may advise you to start switching to senior dog food, which is low-calorie, low-fat, and more digestible. What should the ingredients list look like? Once you've decided where to look and what to look for, your next port of call should be the ingredients list. Here are the 4 things you need to look out for. Number 1. Meat. The first ingredient on the list should always be meat. Although they can eat plant matter, dogs are primarily carnivores, and so their food should be high in protein. If you want to make extra sure, look for the guaranteed analysis or the nutritional information, which should tell you what percentage of the food is protein. The number should be higher than 30. The meat should also not just be any meat. Some cheaper brands will cut corners by using less expensive but also less nutritional forms of meat protein, such as chicken beaks or feathers. You can recognize these on the label because they will likely be referred to as meat byproducts or meat meal. The way to tell whether the meat is of a proper quality is to see which species it is. If an animal is listed, ideally one that you recognize, then you can assume that the quality of the chicken, turkey, pork, beef, or human is fairly decent. If they're trying to hide the species, then you can assume that the quality isn't high. Number 2. Starch and carbohydrates. Starch and carbohydrates, meanwhile, should be significantly lower down on the list. Starchy things like grain and corn are much cheaper than meat, and so dog food companies will often use it to bulk up the food. These filler ingredients are good for adding some more heft to the food, allowing the companies to charge you more, but they don't have much nutritional value for your dog. Ideally, your dog's food shouldn't have any grain in it at all, but if it does, then that grain should ideally be whole brown rice. Whole brown rice at least contains some healthy nutrients like B vitamins, protein, and fiber. Too many carbohydrates can make your dog fat. They're not designed to eat a starchy, carb-y diet. Like all animals, dogs get sugar from carbohydrates and either burn it as energy or store it as fat. Unlike herbivores and omnivores, however, your dog is not as able to work off that excess fat, which can easily result in obesity. This in turn can lead to your dog developing heart problems and diabetes over the long term. You should also ideally avoid foods with corn in them as much as possible, as a lot of dogs are actually allergic to corn. Number 3. Fruits and veggies. After all the talk about dogs being carnivorous, you might be wondering if there are any fruits and vegetables that your pup can eat. Well, there are. Although fruits and vegetables shouldn't be main portion of your dog's diet, they do provide key minerals and vitamins for your dog's diet. Carrots, for example, contain potassium and calcium. Blueberries contain antioxidants, and sweet potato contains vitamin A. These extra nutrients make fruits and vegetables an especially good replacement for grains and carbohydrates as a filler ingredient for dog foods. Although meat should still be top of the list, of course. Having some fruit and veg in your dog's food will also make it extra tasty for them. That's right. Unlike your 6-year-old cousin, dogs love to eat their veggies. Number 4. Preservatives. Modern dog foods spend a lot of time on the shelf, both in the store and at home, so to increase their shelf life, they contain chemical preservatives. Some of these preservatives, however, have been linked to negative health conditions in dogs. Butylated hydroxytoluene, or BHT, is a chemical that prevents the fats and oils in your dog's food from spoiling. As well as your dog's food, you'll also find it in your cosmetics, as well as in jet fuels and in embalming fluid. Studies, however, have indicated that it may have carcinogenic or cancer-causing properties. As a result, it's been banned in several countries, including Japan, Romania, Sweden, and Australia. Another nasty one to look out for is BHA, or butylated hydroxyanisole, which may also cause cancer and is used in pharmaceuticals, petroleum products, and rubber. Finally, ethoxyquin is a chemical that prevents fats from going rancid and is actually also used in some human foods, mainly in certain spices, to prevent them from losing their color when exposed to air. Unfortunately, in dogs and some other animals, it's been found to cause a buildup of a compound called protoporphyrin IX in the liver, the long-term health effects of which are still not known. How to avoid unnatural preservatives. One option is to go for more natural preservatives. Two of the most common natural preservatives used in dog food are vitamin C and vitamin E, although you're more likely to see these labeled as ascorbic acid and tocopherols, respectively. You might also see rosemary oil listed as a preservative. Unfortunately, none of these natural preservatives are as effective as their artificial counterparts, but most naturally preserved dry dog foods do manage to maintain a shelf life of up to 12 months. Another solution to the problem of preservatives is to simply use canned food. A dog food can seal its contents in an airtight container, ensuring that no bacteria can get inside. There's a reason why it's the food preservation process of choice for zombie apocalypse bunkers. Because no germs can get in, no additional preservatives are needed. Although you should make a note of the best before date, and ideally shouldn't feed your dog the food beyond that point. Theoretically, a sealed can of dog food could last for decades without spoiling. Once you've provided your pup with the best food you can buy, they'll probably want to let you know how grateful they are. But dogs can't say thank you like humans can. Or can they? Check out this video to learn how dogs say thanks to their humans.